Joker Folie Deux, or as I like to call it, Joker Folie Doo-Doo, is simply a big mess of a movie, even if Quentin Tarantino loves it.
I don't know if I loved it, but okay, I liked it a lot.
Who knows, maybe he has more than just a foot fetish. You know, I get it. The film was made to prove the people wrong that idolise and romanticise Arthur Fleck as a character, and were like, oh, he's so relatable and he's a role model. We have to stand up to the man, and oh, I know what he feels like. If I'd be lying out on the street, people would step right over me as well. And don't get me wrong, I also find those people to be very annoying, but that being said, it's arrogant to think that there's a chance of changing their minds by making something that looks down on them and ruins their way of seeing the first film. Take Paul Schrader, for example. He's open about his intentions with the ending of Taxi Driver, yet he supports the idea of others having their own interpretations. He says just because he wrote it with a certain intention doesn't mean that's the only way you're allowed to see the film. And isn't that ironic when you consider how much of an influence Taxi Driver was on the first Joker film? And when you think about the people who interpreted the first film in the manner that Todd Phillips intended, they gain nothing from this film. It just rehashes and amplifies the points that were made in the first film in an attempt to shoehorn that interpretation into the minds of the people who interpreted it differently. So those who already got what Todd Phillips was going for are simply wasting their time with the sequel. But I must admit, the Gary Puddle scene is really impactful and extremely well acted. For all the film's faults, I really love that scene. But that scene's followed by one of my biggest complaints about the film, because while the guards are perhaps established to be insensitive, like, Brendan Gleeson always cracking jokes about Arthur, or Tim Dillon asking for Arthur's autograph because he'll be worth loads once he dies, I'm not sure you'd think of him as murdering rapists, because obviously it's strongly hinted that Arthur gets raped by them. It's never blatantly shown or confirmed or anything, but seems to be the case. And not just that, then Arthur's friend who makes a fuss because he can tell that Arthur's been mistreated, they just straight up kill him, which the rape and the murder really came from out of nowhere and just felt totally undeserved. Those are just undeserving villainous characters just for the sake of it. And obviously it was a big deal, the film being a musical and everything, but to be honest, the film barely feels like a musical, and there's some musical scenes, but realistically they just halt the film and they don't progress the story in any way whatsoever, and that's what makes them feel so tedious. That's a very common complaint about this film, how tedious especially those musical scenes are, because it's like a certain point is made, you're given a certain piece of information, and then the musical scenes just linger on that piece of information for about 5 minutes. So Harley and Arthur talk about doing something big and taking over, and then there's a 5-minute song about building a mountain. So at the end of the day, the whole musical aspect just kinda seemed like a gimmick and really felt kinda useless. And I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that Harley Quinn was originally supposed to kill Joker at the end of the film, and that scene would have kind of mirrored Arthur's transformation into Joker, and this time, it would have been Harley turning into Harley Quinn kind of thing. Yeah, it would have been predictable, but at the same time, I do think it would have been more impactful, and it would have given the character of Harley Quinn some more purpose, instead of giving that purpose to some glorified extra. That being said, I do really like Joaquin Phoenix's rendition of True Love Will Find You in the End. So, all in all, it's an ineffective antidote for the audience who, in Todd Phillips' eyes, misinterpreted the first film, and it's like forcing cough syrup into the mouth of somebody who was healthy as a horse for those who interpreted the first Joker the way Phillips intended. It even seems like the people who made the bloody thing don't like it very much.
Well, you've seen it. Is it everything you expected?
Tell him how you feel, Joaquin.
I was in Joker 2, which just came out. It's the worst film that has ever been made.
So bad.
It's the worst film it's actually not so bad. It's the worst film ever made.